recorded poorly and hastily in a stinky basement in Westbrook, Maine, some of the country's most talented singer-songwriters get down and dirty and also talk about stuff. It's Music Club!
Hosted by Ryan Halliburton.
Hello, today's guest is Shanna Underwood. We're going to hear some songs and talk about some stuff and maybe hear from Leslie Nielsen, our special guest, who's walking around here and is a very good cat. First song we're going to hear here is Venus. It's off her last record, and it's an awesome song, and here it is.
She can feel that pull. Will you hold me just like an old friend all through the night, all through the night? Come on, hold me just like an old friend all through the night, all through the night. Only make demands, 'cause I know you can. I don't mean to ask that much from you, and I don't mean to, but I'm sure I do. Will you hold me just like an old friend all through the night, all through the night? Come on, hold me just like an old friend all through the night, all through the night. Sometimes the light is dim, she spins around, no plans to settle down. Tonight she's dancing with the moon, yeah, they like to be free, honey, so do we. Well, will you hold me just like an old friend all through the night, all through the night? Come on, hold me just like an old friend all through the night, all through the night.
In a world where every successful journey begins with a single step, and every great songwriter begins with a single song, that's usually not great. This is the segment about first songs, or something.
All right. Well, there was that. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do. I actually still do it pretty regularly. I wrote 3 songs. I was living in Thailand teaching English, and I wrote 3 songs in my office. I had all these hours between classes. Like, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. I only had 1 class to teach, but I was required to be at the school in my office during the whole school day, no matter what. So I just started writing down lyrics, and it never occurred to me to write a song before. It wasn't something that had ever even crossed my mind, but I just started writing down lyrics and then just kind of singing melodies to them. And I didn't play guitar at the time at all.
What year was this?
That was in 2000. It was either 2000 or 2001. It's probably right before I met you and
Yeah.
Hawk and that whole bunch. Because I was living in Thailand right before I came back and met you guys at Re-Raws.
Yeah. Re-Raw and Free Streets of Verona.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we had a nice little crew there. Jason Spooner was
Right.
hanging out with us. I'm
That's
such a
right.
name dropper. Chris Hawley, the lovable Chris Hawley.
Yeah.
Katie Bursk. That was a good crew.
It
That
was a
really
good
cool
crew. And people who've gone on to actually do things, which is always nice when your formative music years are spent with people who actually
Yeah, Squid Jiggers, right?
kept moving
that guy.
on. Yeah, Dave Rowe and Troy Bennett.
Yeah,
I love
and,
Troy. He's still one of my favorite people.
Yeah, that was
There's
really
a-
cool
I feel
time.
that way,
Heather
like-
Caston and
Yeah, Nancy. What was
Nancy
her name?
Cartonio.
Yeah,
Yeah, so many good people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were great. They were like NPR. The two of them. They'd sing these beautiful songs, and in between it, okay, all right, everybody, we're having a great night. It was really great. They were my favorites, I think. But wow, so no chance you'd play that first song?
maybe not the first one, but I think the second one,
Yeah.
which is one that I still do, and I still open almost every show with it, and it's gone through so many incarnations and just kind of. It's changed rhythm. The lyrics have pretty much stayed the same, but it's changed rhythms. And it's one of those songs that the musicians who play with me never get sick of too, which is nice. And it ended up on 2 of my records because the first record that I did with Hawk, who you knew, it's kind of a little bit of a long song, and he cut the 3rd verse out without telling me, him and the engineer, and we get the masters back and the 3rd verse isn't on it. And I was like,
shit.
well, that's not very nice. And also the 3rd verse was kind of about him and just being kind of a dope head. So
Was
I think
that
might have
Shanna and the Hawk
pissed-
record?
Yeah.
I still have that. It's somewhere in the house. I do. I've held on to that all
There's
these years.
still
It's a really
stickers
good
around
record.
too. Like every once in a while, I'll go to a bar that's still open from like 15 years ago, and there'll be like a Shanna and the Hawk sticker stuck to the
That's a
tab.
really great record. It really is. It was short. It was like 3 or 5 songs or something.
Oh,
right?
that one, yeah. And we did do a full band record after that.
Oh, after that?
Yeah, which I think it has 9 or 10 songs on it.
I
But
still have that first one with the paper
With
sleeve.
the paper
and-
sleeve,
yep,
yeah.
I still have that one. Is that for sale online?
not that the full band record that we did, which
Yeah.
is really similar to that, but just more songs and the full band that we used, which was Chris Day on bass and Joe Bloom on harmonica and Rob Sylvain on dobro, which was our band. And then we ended up mixing and mastering it in Nashville when we moved down there.
These are all good people. Cajun Aces.
Yeah.
Right? Is Rob's band now?
Right.
Yeah.
And Chris, of course, plays with everybody and anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Jerks, though, is the main. Is
Mm-hmm. Jerks
his main
in King
project.
Memphis.
In King Memphis, that's right.
And he's playing with Big in Vegas now, which is one of those like Tim Emery's Country incarnations. And I never thought I would stay in Maine. Like I came back just to visit my mom and to play some shows in the summer, and then things just exploded, and I met Devin and met John Cooper and that whole group of people, and then
Drew Wyman you play with.
yeah,
is
well,
amazing.
Drew I've played with since back before
To me,
too.
having a conversation with Drew is crazy. I was like 16, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, listening to his band and stuff like
And
that.
and he doesn't have, he keeps it so down to earth and so even keel, even though he's gotten to do a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this song,
The song.
so the 3rd verse got cut off without me really knowing it, and the masters came back. And then when I recorded my 2nd record in Nashville, which is available, and I still really like that record a lot. And it's not a Nashville studio record. It was just my buddies in the neighborhood and the bass player I happened to be hooking up with at the time and that sort of thing. But it's just a great like friend neighborhood band, which is really
Cool.
how things need to happen down there. Like it's so much better than putting out a Nashville studio record.
That's healthy music.
Yeah, it's just healthy friend, good times. But they really liked playing the song. I had no intention of putting it on the 2nd record, but the band liked the song so much that we ended up putting a whole different version with a whole different vibe with the 3rd verse on that record too.
All right. Well, what's the name of it?
It's called Willingly.
Willingly. Everybody, this
And
is
it's-
Shanna Underwood playing Willingly.
There's a shore that's safe, call it home. Water looks deep and cold, but there's a life out there I know. The siren of dreams is calling me, saying jump on in. Some days you just gotta let it go. But my fingers getting torn, baby, busted and warm, scraping at the shell of a dream. I get up in the morning and I run, 'cause I don't know how else to be. And I may fall on the pavement, I may get rained on, but I'll walk into that ocean willingly. There's some days you think you could be someone, until you realize that you already were. What will you do today to prove it to the world? The guitar pick in my hand means more than that piece of paper. But my fingers getting torn, baby, busted and warm, scraping at the shell of a dream. I get up in the morning and I run, 'cause I don't know how else to be. And I may fall on the pavement, I may get rained on, but I'll walk into that ocean willingly. Does it hurt you less to have a head full of smoke than to really let it on, let it seep on in? Well, is there something on your mind that rolls around at night? Well, I won't tell you what's good for you, 'cause you've been so good for me. And I think everything is gonna be okay. But my fingers getting torn, baby, busted and warm, scraping at the shell of a dream. I get up in the morning and I run, 'cause I don't know how else to be. And I may fall on the pavement, I may get rained on, but I'll walk into that ocean willingly. My fingers getting torn, baby, busted and warm, scraping at that shell of a dream.
That was great. That's
Something
willingly.
like that. Willingly, yeah.
That's great. And that guitar, if you thought it sounded awesome, it's because it's a J45. That's the real stuff. That's Gibson guitar right there, everybody. Is there a story behind that guitar?
There is a huge story behind this guitar. So, my dad was an interesting dude, and just kind of, you knew that he was interested in, like, as us kids, we knew he was interested in our lives, but he wasn't the type of person who was good at reaching out or letting you know or, like, staying in touch. I mean, there were years at a time where I wouldn't hear from him, but if I called him, you know, everything was all well and good.
Yeah.
So I was living in Nashville. Hawk and I had broken up. I didn't have a guitar, and I really needed one. And I was borrowing a J45 from a friend who I can't believe this friend was lending me. That was like his worst guitar.
A good friend.
You know? Like, yeah, that was like the guitar he wasn't using. He was like, oh, this would be great for your voice. Try this one out. So I was borrowing this J45 from a friend and absolutely freaking loved it.
Yeah.
And so my dad brought me this like shit Fender guitar that was totally unusable for anything. And I was so pissed at him. I was like, what? And he had given my brother like 2 Martins or whatever. So I was like, so he comes to Nashville to like, he was a truck driver and he was driving through Nashville and he had this guitar and he gives me this shit fucking guitar I couldn't do anything with. I couldn't even practice on it. And I was kind of pissed about it. So I went out to Guitar Center and got a line of credit and bought an Epiphone Masterbuilt, which are kind of modeled. Nice. It was a great guitar. I still have it. I play it all the time. It's a great guitar. And they're modeled after the J45. So they kind of had that beefy bottom end. I mean, it doesn't have the same ring and obviously the same tone, but as close as you can get for a $500 guitar. You know,
mic'd up, they sound kind of similar. Though.
Yeah, and it was a great guitar. It made me feel like I was never, before then I didn't play, like, when I was with those guys, I never played guitar. So I really needed to learn if I was going to go out and play songwriter nights in Nashville. Yeah. So I bought that Masterbuilt mostly out of anger and like resentment. So then
something great about a fuck you purchase.
Yeah, it was kind of a fuck you purchase. And it was the best thing I've ever bought for myself in my life. And then, which was for my 27th birthday. Like I didn't really start playing guitar till I was 27. And then I was gone for a long time. I went and taught in Korea, and I was teaching in Mexico, and my dad had sent an email. It's like, there's a guitar waiting for you with your brother when you get back from Mexico, which I felt was kind of an enticement to, like, stay in the U.S. for once. Yeah. And I come back to Maine to visit, and Kirk actually tried to pawn off one of his Martins, and I was like, that's your Martin. Like, I know that guitar. That's not what Dad left for me. And he was like, God damn it. And he brings out this Gibson with the pink lining in the case, and
you should see this case. The case itself is beautiful. I wish I was cat size. I would crawl up inside it for sure.
Yeah,
it's this like pink floor. It looks like Elvis's guitar case. It's great.
It's great. It weighs about 30 pounds. Like it kills everyone who tries to carry it. And I've actually got like.
It looks like it could fall out of the back of an airplane at 30,000 feet.
Totally
and
could
survive.
Yeah. But that was, so I got back from Mexico and had this guitar waiting for me. And it was in a little bit rough shape because he had bought it online. But Manuel Delgado, who's an amazing guitar guy in Nashville, fixed it up.
I don't know who that is, but he sounds world famous with a name like that.
Well, he makes all the instruments for Los Lobos. And he lives in East Nashville now and just like does guitar work. And he makes like 26 different kinds of instruments, half of which are kind of Mexican. He's a 3rd generation luthier, 1st generation American, just fantastic dude. And he just works on everyone's instruments in the neighborhood in East Nashville. But
walking around with a crazy sexy name, staying thirsty, making instruments. That's a perfect segue into the next segment.
I was just going to say one more thing about the guitar though. So it was waiting for me. My dad had it for me, and then I saw him a couple times after that, and then he died a year later. So that's the end of the story. That's the whole roundabout.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, that's a huge dimension to it. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's a pretty special guitar.
It is a pretty special guitar.
And I guess you don't want to sell it to me.
No, I don't.
Some gig is very good. Some gig is very bad. This segment is
who is that?
Best gig, the worst gig.
And then you slow it down so it sounds
Yeah, I just made some bullshit. What I thought of as like contrived mariachi music, and then I lowered my voice. Some gig is very good. That's me doing it normally. And then in the background, there's a comedian that I love, John Mulaney, and he has a joke about being on the subway and not knowing it's a mariachi band. Like first you see one guitar player, and you're like, oh cool, there's one guitar player, and he's like, oh, another guitar player, and then an accordion player. Oh no, this is the loudest song in the world. And like, so that's what that comes from. All right, what's your best gig ever?
I don't know. I knew you were going to ask me that, and I actually don't know. Like, I don't have... All my gigs have been pretty even keel, like, within a certain range. Like, I don't have, like, I ever opened for my hero, or, like, there's nothing like that. It's all, like, I feel like it's unfortunately to this point, or fortunately, been within a certain spectrum of like evenness, so it's okay.
Been very steadily tent poling.
Yeah, it's like, you know, very steadily climbing uphill. But nothing that I can think of is like the best gig ever. But it's always like just when you have good gigs, when you connect with a few people in the crowd and, you know, you feel good and you know everyone played well and nobody got drunk and fell off the stage. It's all good things.
Or where was your first paying gig? Because I knew you from...
I think it was the Free Street.
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure it was Free Street.
Free Street Taverna, that's Dogfish now in Portland. Dogfish.
Which Dogfish was my
Cafe.
first paying gig when I came back to Maine after 10 years of being gone. So that's kind of... I didn't even think of that. I think it was Hawk and Rob and Chris Day and I playing together with as the Shanna and the Hawk thing. And Pete, I was wearing like a red rubber skirt that was like my favorite skirt at the time. And Pete just walked up on stage and just totally slapped my ass in front of the whole club. And everyone, like even Hawk, who was like the dirtiest person on the planet, was dumbfounded. Like everyone's jaws just like dropped open. And I was like, well, I don't know what just happened, but I hope this guy gets off stage.
I love Hawk too. I love him. He's a cool guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was the other question?
Does it go to what's the worst gig?
Yes, there was something before that. Oh, you mentioned, and I saw your Facebook post about you just did 5 days up in Vermont. How was that? What was that?
I go twice a year. Do you know Chicky Stoltz, who used to
Yes.
own Chickies out in Westbrook, which is now the Frog and Turtle? I go twice a year and stay with him and his family, who are just amazing people. Like, these are people who are living life right. You know, they're still living their own lives. They're still doing music. And they're raising 2 kids, and they have a beautiful house in the middle of nowhere, Vermont. Like, and they have people come visit, and their doors are always open. They literally never lock their doors. They're just people who are really living right, just the way things should really go. So I go twice a year and stay with him, and we do some shows together, and I'm trying to just book better and better shows in Vermont. And it gives me a chance to get out and be on the road, because if I don't get on the road every couple of months, I get pretty antsy.
Yeah. I've been pretty complacent and lazy in the past few years, and there's just work so close to home. Mm-hmm. Everything's a pillow gig. And
well, that's the thing. Like, I barely break the first time I lost a ton of money because I just had really crap gigs. Oh, well, we'll talk about that next question. But and then the last 2 times I've broken just a little bit over even, which is, you know, to take a long weekend and go on a road trip and visit really good friends is not a bad situation.
No, that's great. And doing it as original music, too.
Yeah, that's the clincher. Like, going out and doing what you feel your passion for, not just going out and, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kick in the balls, I gotta say, to, like, for the Grumps or whatever band to travel 2.5, 3 hours someplace and then play someone else's stuff. We don't like when we have to do that.
But you guys make a lot more money than I do. Most of the time.
We just want to play original still, like everybody else, you know. We're stuck in a thing, you know.
It's like writing a book. Like, an author doesn't write somebody else's book. They write their book.
Yeah, it feels like being a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
It feels like being a ghostwriter a little bit. And you can bring your voice to it, and that you can have some pride in that.
Yeah, because I still do a lot of covers, but I only do covers that really, like, call to me.
So, what's your worst gig?
So, I don't know what the actual worst gig is, but that first time I went to Vermont, I had one of the worst comments. So, speaking of this beautiful guitar that I'm in love with that my dad gave to me, so I play this set at the Radio Bean in Burlington, which is...
It's a cool place.
It's a cool place, but it's also a place that I think they just stack up as many musicians as they can get in one day, and they don't pay anybody, and they're just kind of taking advantage of the fact that they're an easy gig to book. But I love the place and the vibe and the people that run it.
And when you know 10 people that are going to come see you, that's kind of, that's what
great.
you got to do, too.
Right, exactly. So
if I'm lucky, I get 10 people to come see me in Vermont.
Right. So I'd gotten this great radio spot. So actually quite a few people did come out to see that set because I had gotten great radio promotion the day before the show. And so I do this set in Burlington, and this couple that had come out to see me, and they sat right up front, and I could tell they're just scrutinizing the hell out of me the whole night. And so finally I get done, and the first thing the guy says to me, he walks up to me and he said, "With a guitar like that, I would have thought you'd be a better player."
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, I started playing late, and I'm just doing what I can do, and,
That's the most genius backhanded compliment I've ever heard in my life. Oh. That's pretty great.
Yeah. They did buy a record, though, so I had to forgive them.
Jeez. Maybe it was a Patrice O'Neill thing. Maybe it was a I'm gonna insult you because I love you kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe that was it.
Well, the guy couldn't keep his hands off me the rest of the night. His wife was like, not. I was like, I don't understand how like insulting me gives you permission to like touch me every time you walk by the bar. But okay,
is that not flying? That might be what's going wrong for me.
So that was, I wouldn't say it's the worst gig, but that was one of the worst interactions I've had at a gig.
That's great. That's great.
Or, well, I'd play this really ritzy resort up the coast a lot, like every other weekend with Devin, the cello player. And
Samoset, right?
Yeah, Samoset. And we get a lot of really weird interactions there, too.
Rich, drunk people, right?
Rich, really drunk, demanding people. Like, we had a guy walk out because we couldn't play My Girl. Or
wow.
Or we had a 15-year-old kid get really offended because he was talking about playing guitar. It's like, oh, man, great. I'm like... I said, are you an aspiring musician? Which might have been a wrong word choice, but I feel like we're aspiring musicians every day. Like, I don't feel like there's ever a time when you hit the top. But he was like 14 or 15 years old, and he was so offended. He was like, I am a musician. And I'm like, oh.
That's awesome, though. I mean, that's great that he's that passionate about it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a lifer. Maybe there's a lifer in there.
I definitely think so. And we had actually seen him play at a coffee shop the weekend before, and he was doing a great job. But it's like...
And if that's the worst thing he hears in his life, then he's got the most blessed career ahead of him of anyone I've ever met in my life, and he can, yeah.
And then his dad got really pissed off when I didn't know any John Denver, but... I don't know any John Denver.
Yeah.
And then I feel like whatever you do, don't have kids.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I know it makes it a lot harder for like.
Although a lot of people are doing it.
The Grumps drummer, it has a kid. He makes it work, you know. But I know it's not as easy. I'm sure he can't make as many impulse purchases, you know. But I'm sure he would say that that's worth the trade off or whatever. Mm-hmm. Pete Witham, we were just talking about the struggle of having a kid.
Pete's my hero.
Yeah, he's great. I think he's going to be on the podcast in
I hope so.
A month or two, or however long.
I love listening to that guy. You ask that guy a question, and you'll get the most brilliant, convoluted, amazing answer that will last like 15 minutes. I love it.
He's book smart and creative smart.
Yeah.
He seems to be a pretty left-right brain.
Yeah.
Pretty equal measure kind of guy, which is
and just a
weird.
Monster guitar player. Like, who gets to play guitar like that?
He's so casual about it too, you know.
Yeah.
I do a third of what he can do on the guitar, and I look like I'm breaking my back doing it. And he just throws things away that I'm very envious of.
Yeah.
You know, just throws these little things away. That
he came in. He's doing a lot of the guitar work on my new record that hasn't come out yet. We're still working on it, but he just came in and sat down and was like, just pure brilliance at every corner. And he would remember what he just did. So we're just like keeping all these takes, and like we couldn't decide which one was better. Like they were all just amazing. And they were all completely different, which blew my mind.
He's so good. His tone's always great. His volume live is always very measured, and I like that. Appreciate that. Very put together dude.
Yeah.
Dude I learn from every time I see him. Thanks for tuning in to the We Love Pete Witham podcast.
We should probably... Is there another question?
I hope to hell he listens to this.
I do know. He better.
he better. It'll make you feel fuzzy. Hi. I forgot where we were. Oh, let's do another live song. What do you want to do next?
I don't know what I can sing. We're like early afternoon drinking beers, not warmed up. I'm like, what can I...
Yeah, we went to, I can't even remember the name of the sandwich shop.
Ono.
On
the Brackett Street on the west end.
Went to Ono, got some avocado and turkey on a bagel.
Ryan was an avocado virgin.
I was. That was the first, I've never even had guacamole unless it was slipped to me like a Mickey or something in the bottom of a nacho plate. But it was delicious. I liked it. I'd seen them growing on trees. I'd never had one before. It was great. Thanks for tuning into Avocado Good. Yeah, so...
I'm going to play another song, and I'm going to request that you get me another beer.
All right. Let me... Here is another song from Shanna Underwood.
I haven't really decided yet. So if I mess this up really bad, can we, like, try a different one if I can't sing it this early?
No, this is going out live. You're done. And they heard that. They just lost all respect for you for that. All right. No, you can do whatever you want. We're pre-taping this shit because I don't know. I generally drink and whatever during this thing, and I could probably
even
say
if it's the
stupid.
afternoon.
Even if it's the morning. All right. I'm off to get beer, and here's a song for you.
It's a north-flowing river, but south is where I'm headed next. East wind is howling. Baby, will you dream of me, breathing me, call for me at the river bend? The delta of the morning.
To be branding a question and answer segment, but I think I'll just relish in how low my voice is. Okay, that's enough. It's 5 questions.
Oh shit, 5 whole questions?
Oh, yeah. The problem is I'm kind of a stoner, so I can never remember what the questions are, so I'm going to do my best. I should probably
Well,
write
that's
down.
good, because you kind of pre-warned me what the questions were, and some of them I don't think I could answer. So whatever 5 questions you actually have, I'll take them.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I remember... Okay, I can come... Yeah. All right. Okay, they say there's a rock and roll heaven. There must be a hell of a band or whatever. So, who, if you died today, who would you snag from the bench up there to round out your band?
This is the one question I was hoping you weren't going to ask me.
It's my favorite question.
I have no idea. Well, see, I'm not as much of a musical geek as I should be, so I don't even know. And I don't know that a lot of, I'm thinking through my head through people I'd love to play with, and they're all still alive. So I'm trying to think.
Well, that's fine. They'll die someday.
They'll die someday.
You got to think positively.
I would do anything to, I think everyone would, to, get to sing a song with the Rolling Stones.
Oh, my God. They should totally die. They should totally die.
They're
that
not
would be
quite
the best.
dead yet. Or I would do anything to get to play with Bonnie Raitt.
I thought you were gonna say Bon Jovi at first.
No, with Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt's great.
Bon Jovi, maybe. No, not really.
And I totally hope she dies, so you get that. But let's hope she lives for a little while. I think that her last record was pretty good. I think she's got another couple in her. So.
Like a country guy that I love, who I do a lot of his songs, is Buck Owens. That would be super fun.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and just he seemed like such a nice guy.
Yeah, Buck Owens. Cool.
Or Johnny Cash. We could throw him in there, too.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Oh, he's dead.
I think everyone...
He's dead,
he is.
He? Yes!
He is dead.
Oh, my God. I'm so glad he's dead for the benefit of this segment.
That's awful.
I didn't...
I'm glad I have another beer here to cry into and put my tears into.
He was good. I will say I am the one person in the world I think that doesn't like that Rick Rubin record. Who would you like to take a lesson from? Vocally, guitar-wise, whatever?
Guitar-wise, actually, locally, and I've gotten to sit down and sit with him a few times, is Sean Mencher. I love sitting down with Sean Mencher and play. That guy, in a very small amount of time, has taught me more than... And just getting to... He's such a generous player, and somebody... the way he does shows and invites people up to sing, and
he plays with humility and with a nonchalance,
right?
And it's like he's floating above the gig that he's at.
Yeah.
Or something. It's I've done a million of these. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun.
It's such a good attitude to see.
Let me appreciate my friends. I have just learned so much from him about not just guitar, but about stage presence and really just how to treat other people. I feel like I have just learned so much from him. To go back to the heaven question, I can't believe I didn't think of this right off the bat. Nick Curran.
Yes.
I would do anything to play with Nick Curran in heaven.
I love Nick Curran.
Yeah.
I had no idea he got onto that show. It's a show about the vampires, sexy vampires.
True Blood?
Yes. He had a song on True Blood. Can you believe that?
I actually kind of can, only because I have tons of friends in Nashville who've gotten songs. That show is purposely looking for certain types of songwriters and musicians that... You have to be really appreciative of that. And
they look for swamp, right? They do a lot of swamp tunes on there because it's Louisiana or something.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen the show, but
I saw the pilot or something. Mm-hmm. And it was
there. We go. That was it. That was my person, Nick Curran.
Yeah, Nick Curran. Wow, I'd take that for sure. Okay, so those are those questions. What was? Where in the world do you want to travel? You've gone to that was one of the questions. You've gone to so many cool places. You've been to Korea and China.
Yeah, I've traveled. Well, so I've taught in Mexico, Korea, Mongolia, Thailand, and Nepal. And then I've traveled to China, Hungary, Serbia. And
What's this teach? Are you teaching English?
Yeah. because I can't afford to travel. I don't have any money.
Do you know these languages?
No, and they don't want you to. They're English immersion schools that you get hired by.
Holy hell, that sounds like a nightmare.
No, it's not at all. It's fantastic.
You go to Korea, you don't know the language.
Yeah.
Their words look like tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
And you can
learn how to read. Korean is probably the easiest language to learn how to read.
Of the Asian dialects?
Of any language. You can
Really?
learn how to read Korean in an hour. You won't know what it means, but all the symbols, you can read it. And once you've been there for a little while, you know, oh, this set of symbols generally represents food. It must be a restaurant.
Oh, I get
it. But their symbols all have the same, except for like 2 tiny exceptions. They all represent the same sound. So if you learn it, you're done.
So it's like emojis, basically. You're like, oh, there's a turkey leg and a cup with a straw. So I think so they're hieroglyphics, basically.
Kind of, in a way.
Korean hieroglyphics.
Super easy to learn how to read, super hard to learn how to speak.
And then you walk into the school and everyone's speaking Korean and you go, hello.
Yeah. Well, the at these English immersion schools, though, at least half the staff usually speaks English well.
Oh, so you'll have like a bit of a translator for
yeah,
a bit.
not for your classroom, because you're teaching immersion, so the kids are just looking at you with their eyes wide open, and you just trying to make things fun. And
so you just wave at them and say hello, 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 hello until they say hello back.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's different methods for going about it, but yeah, I mean, you just start at the beginning. But when I was in Korea, though, I was teaching really advanced junior high girls who were trying to get into international schools, so they were super motivated, super excited, and their English skills were already like we were teaching like advanced writing and reading. Like I had a class. They already
speak English.
I've done both. Like I've started with very beginning. In Mexico, most of my students were absolute complete beginners, and then but in Korea, I was teaching at a really advanced private school, so that was totally different. But I actually got to teach because I love to read. I just read constantly, and I got to teach a class of 4 novels to junior high girls who were totally motivated and read novels and talked
probably immersing
analytically
themselves
about them.
Outside of class too, and talking to each other in English and trying to.
I mean, they have such busy lives over there, and they work the students so hard. But that was really special to get to actually teach a literature class with people who were motivated to read the books. Oh, but to answer the actual question, so of all the places I want to be, so absolute top of my list. And I'm actually working on trying to get there maybe next fall is Cambodia. That's probably the one place in Asia that I haven't been that I'm dying to go to.
This is going to sound like a horribly xenophobic question. I don't mean it that way. I've never left this country at all, not even Canada. So I don't know. I just got my passport.
Not even Canada. Let's take a road trip. You want to go to Montreal?
I absolutely do. I just got my passport last summer. I haven't had a chance to use it yet. I had a long illness during my travel time this year, so I didn't get to go anywhere.
I'll stick you in the Jeep.
I really want to go up there in the worst possible way. Mm-hmm. But my question is, what's different? To me, if I went to any Asian country right now, I'd be like Asia check. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, no.
What's different?
Oh, my God. That's totally a xenophobic question.
Because I'm totally ignorant of everything. Like if you were to say free ticket to Asia, pick a place, I'd say, can you drop me at the Great Wall of China? Wherever that is. I'd go and see that. And what's different about Cambodia than these other places?
They're all totally different. I mean, it's even like, I even felt like going from Maine to Nashville was like living in 2 different countries. I mean, think about how different culturally the South is from the North and the West is. And they're not that. I mean, there's similar pieces, but they're definitely different lifestyles.
Oh, sure. And knowing that Nashville is like a music mecca to me makes that a distinction.
Right.
But to me, not knowing anything about Asia, it's more like, do you want to go to Nebraska or North Dakota?
It's so much different than that. I mean, unbelievably different. You wouldn't between all the places I've been, like Mongolia is its own planet. I mean, that is such a unique place, and all the languages are all completely different. So, like Mongolian they don't use traditional Mongolian characters anymore. They use Cyrillic, which are the Russian letters. So they
speak Russian.
No, they speak Mongolian, but they use the Cyrillic letters to represent it. So that's totally different than the whole rest of Asia. And then...
Weird. What's the advantage for them to do that?
It's because they were basically... I want to say colonized. It's not quite true, but... I mean, it's just investment in money and development was a lot done by Russia, so they kind of, in order for ease of things, developed that. But now Korea's got a huge foothold in Mongolia. And you're starting to see Korean restaurants and Korean writing all over the place. But and Korea and Japan are completely different than the whole rest of Asia. Like,
yeah, I'm very interested in seeing.
And part of it too is religion. Like, they all have different sects of Buddhism, and some are not. Or some, like Nepal is a Hindu country, even though there's a lot of Buddhists that live there. And India is Hindu.
Japan is Shintoism or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
got a
right?
combination of like Buddhism and Taoism and different things, but
neat.
Yeah, I mean,
Neat.
but culturally, I can't even tell you how different
Yeah.
the different parts of Asia are. Like, really, culturally, food-wise, language-wise, just how people act, how people dress. I mean, each country is absolutely, completely unique. Yeah, and people say, like, Buddhism, but if you travel around Asia, there's so many different flavors of Buddhism. I mean, it's the same as Christianity, but I would say the different sects are actually even more different than... I mean, it's like comparing Catholics to Protestants or something. Very different ways of practicing, very different...
Are the cities pretty homogeneous? And
No, absolutely. The architecture in each country is completely different. And their temples, their church, like not churches, but their temples and religious representations are completely artistically different. You should look at my travel blog. You'll see.
I've seen a lot of your pictures. I have seen a lot of your pictures, but it's hard when you've never been anywhere to contextualize anything.
But that's one of my problems, or I shouldn't say one of my problems, but it's one of the things that is... We've done it here, and it's so disheartening to see Asia doing it, is that homogenization of, like, tall concrete high-rises starting to become prevalent everywhere, like the same type of architecture. You know, people aren't building traditional houses anymore, partly because wood is, especially in, like, Korea and Japan. And
they're not building what you see in a Bruce Lee movie. You're saying they're building
wood is a
house
huge
like
commodity. So building, like, traditional wooden houses isn't going to happen. Now they're just building concrete high-rises and putting, 47 apartments in the same building.
God, I gotta say, I'm in favor of it. Oh, God.
It's just this, but it's a homogenization that is, it's the same way we have big box stores at every single fucking highway exit. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
You can do whatever you want. I've been swearing a little, I think. I can't remember.
It really bothers me, the people who travel as consumers and just go and they don't even learn how to say hello or thank you. And they're just like, and I drink a lot of beer when I travel. I drink a lot of beer anywhere. But just like the people who just go to get drunk and like look at a couple temples and like they're just traveling to consume. Like I've always gone to actually work and like make friends and meet people. And it's a little bit different, but... And that's where I lost my train of thought for a second, but that's where I was trying to go, is that there's a kind of magic that happens in like Nepal and India and Southeast Asia and rural parts of China that don't happen in the more urbanized areas or places where things are starting to get homogenized. And I feel it's the same in the U.S. Like there's a certain magic that happens when you go to a community where they still very much have a sense of culture and a sense of community there. There's a magic that happens that you won't see if you're hanging out at the mall in South Portland. But that's what the world is turning into, is those
where
mall
am I going to get
zones.
my ears pierced, if not icing?
I don't know. I'll do it for you if you...
Icing and Forever 21 is, that's 90% of my day, actually. Mm-hmm. Gym, tan, laundry, and then icing and Forever 21 in there, too. Which doesn't fit with the anagram, but... Never mind.
I think we got off track here.
Yeah, 2 more questions. Okay, gear...
We were only supposed to take a half hour for this whole interview. We've taken like a half hour per question.
I know. Well, you have things to say, so it's good. The plan is a tight 30, and then if we can have fun, anything under 3 hours.
This has been like a 2-beer interview. We're actually doing really well.
We're doing all right. This is the gear slut question. I am obsessed with equipment. As you can see down here, I just have like equipment everywhere. All I do is buy stuff. Almost every dollar I've gotten from music that hasn't gone to bills has gone to gear. You've got the guitar. I mean, what is there anything?
I've got the acoustic guitar, but I would actually really love to start playing especially when I'm with the full band and not just as like an acoustic duo. I really would love to have an Epiphone casino.
Ooh, yeah, those are great.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I'd really just like to move to hollow bodies in general.
Like
but
a
that would be
Gretsch
like my
or something
dream.
like that?
If I could have the guitar, any guitar in the world, I would take one of those.
The casino, like the John Lennon casino.
Yeah.
$1,000, I think it is, or something. It's really not bad for what it is.
It's not bad for what it is. Like
that.
And I have an affinity to like Epiphones and Gibsons. Like that's everyone has their guitar brand that they're kind of into, and I've just always loved the sound of that going in that direction.
Yeah, I think it's a $335 is what the casino is. I'm not sure, but
sure.
anyway, $2,300 if you were to get a Gibson instead of an Epiphone, and they'll sound great. I think Bob Hamilton, our good friend Bob Hamilton, has one.
Yeah, well,
Our
Pete,
good friend whom we know.
Pete plays an Epiphone. He actually likes his Epiphone better than his Gretsch.
What?
His hollow body. Yeah, he plays his Epiphone, that orange one, all the time. You'll have to ask him about it when he's here.
Damn.
And ironically, so Ryan has this calendar of Justin Bieber on his wall
And it's you don't even know how fucking hot April is.
But that's
oh my God.
That's the microphone that I use, which is
Oh, it
I'm
is?
a little bit disappointed. I'm okay with that. It's even the same color. Mine's the red one. It's
In
the
this
fin.
picture, Justin
The Heil
Bieber, he
fin.
has a what's it? It's like an owl tattoo. It's like a tattoo of an owl, I think. And he's grabbing his crotch, and he's wearing a jean jacket with the arms cut off, and his hat's on sideways as you do, and he's singing through a very nice looking microphone. He is.
I like that microphone a lot. It's worked well for me.
And the good thing is you can fit it on a stand, so there's more crotch grabbing opportunity. You know
Except
what I mean?
I'm actually playing guitar, so I can't, and I'm not coordinated
No, he
enough
doesn't do that.
to play and grab my crotch at
No,
the
he
same
doesn't
time.
do that. That's a waste of your time. We're here to sell records, not learn how to perform songs and record them onto records.
But and actually, like speaking about gear slut, like I don't have any gear. I actually don't even have a PA. I've been borrowing stuff since I've been back in Maine.
That's
and
great.
Just like, which is fine, but I really do need my own PA. So
Yeah, you borrow stuff here anytime. I got plenty of it.
I've been borrowing an amp of my brother's for like one of those Acoustasonic vocal guitar, which has been great for most of the gigs that I do. But he's been dropping hints. He's like, "Are you either gonna buy that off me or let me sell it?" Because
Acoustasonic Junior.
no, it's the big one.
Oh, the big one. I've
Yeah.
got the Junior. If you ever want to borrow that, and I've got a Caravan, whatever it is, AD 100 or whatever that is that I got from Eric Betancourt.
Yeah,
I got that Eric Betancourt,
I'm
our
not,
close personal friend whom we know. I'm gonna start doing that every time I name drop.
Yeah, I'm just not a gear slut at all.
What was the last question is actually important, I guess.
Okay.
Spiritually important. I wanted to add at least one thing that could be serious, but you don't have to take it serious if you want. But now that I've qualified the shit out of it, everyone's got a different idea what success is, or what fame is, or what keeping your integrity in this business is, or whatever the victory. What's your victory? What's success look like to you? What do you want?
To be able to pay my rent on time every month, which is something that does not happen very often.
Oh yeah.
So I actually heard, when I was driving to Vermont, I heard one of the best interviews I've ever heard in my life. That Mike guy who does the dirty jobs, he
Mike
did an interview on NPR about that exact same question. What is success and what should it look like? And he spoke for like an hour at least. And it was some of the most brilliant stuff I've ever heard, because I don't think that success is what the American dream, quote unquote, has turned it into. Like, success is getting to wake up every morning and doing what you want. Not necessarily what you want, or not even your passion, but doing stuff that works. You know, like being able to pay your bills and have really functioning present relationships with the people in your life. And I think only a piece of that is getting to do art and getting to do your passion. Like I think that's only a piece of the whole, you know? I don't think that, being on the cover of a magazine and making a shit ton of money that you don't even know what to do with is really success. If your relationships aren't in order, and if you're not able to be a good friend, and you don't have good friends, and you know. And I think arts and music and art and writing and whatever your artistic creative venture is super important, and it's something that you should absolutely be able to have time to do, which paying rent a lot of the time gets in the way of that, or, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think it's only a piece of it. And there's also, like, I would rather be the type of artist that I am, where I don't necessarily get the gigs that a lot of guys in town are doing, but every time I show up at a gig, I have really great musicians who support me and come out and play with me because we're doing stuff that has a huge amount of integrity. And there's a lot of really quote-unquote successful musicians who, you know, absolutely do what you're doing as your job, and, you know, but I think those are two very different kinds of success. And the last song is very gospel-y with Scott Schuster's.
Oh my God, that's right. This next
keyboards.
song is really good. Yeah, why don't we just...
This is my gospel song, which I wasn't intending it to be, but the Hammond, Leslie, and the Wurlitzer certainly made it sound like it.
It does. It's a really great song. I like it. It's fresh off the press, isn't it?
It is. This is a rough mix out of Acadia recording.
It's called A Distance, and I want to thank my guest, Shanna Underwood. This has been very fun, a good talk, and hopefully productive and beneficial to your career in some way. I doubt it. I think I swore too much, but...
I'm glad I got a few swears in there, too. You never get to do that on the real radio.
This is the real radio now. This is the new radio. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing it for the 13 people that are listening to this thing. Because someday there won't be radio anymore. There'll just be a bunch of this crap.
I don't think I've ever gotten to drink beer during a studio radio production either.
Well, I put PCP in it, so there's two new things. So enjoy the spider ghosts that are on their way. All right, here's The Distance, and thanks very much, and cheers.
Long give me love, the kind I never learned to show. You count only by the hour, and it's a long, long time on your own. So take the keys, take a pen to your map. Honey, draw the line where I am to where you're at. When time becomes a distance, it's a long, long way to make it back. When time becomes a distance, it's a long, long way to make it back.
All right. Okay. We got a podcast going. This is episode 3. It's done. Put a fork in it. I want to thank Shanna Underwood very much for coming down. It was very fun and an interesting talk and good music. Check her out on iTunes. You can go to shannaunderwood.bandcamp.com and you can check out that duo record. Holy smokes. Also, Reverb Nation, if you like that. Facebook. Make sure you like her on Facebook. Just appreciate you listening and appreciate your patronage, and don't worry, there's going to be more of these, and thanks for sticking around for Music.